Hey everyone, it's Joy here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a really wonderful day. Today is another video from my Handmade Christmas series, and I'm going to be sharing some new Waffle Flower products that they sent me to play around with. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to be doing some little mixing and matching with some products that I did already have. So I had the Star Snowflake exclusive collection. This was by J.J. Bolton. So I'm going to use that big snowflake, but there's also a stencil, and then you have some sentiments that we'll be using. Then I'm using the Snowflake background stencil. This was something I already bought. And here's one of the things, a couple of things that they gifted me. It's the Oversized Merry Christmas foil plate and the Oversized Merry Christmas word die. So we're going to be using that. And then here's some other things that they did send me that I'm not using in this video, but I thought I would share it with you anyways. This is the Confetti foil plate. Then there is the Elongated Hex foil plate along with the elongated stencils. So you can definitely make some fun things with this. But let's get started on our Christmas cards. I have 2 Christmas cards for you today, and we're going to do a little ink blending for the background, a little of some stenciling paste, some Crackle stenciling paste. We're going to be doing some foiling, so you definitely want to hang out through this video to kind of see everything that we're going to be doing with these cards. I am starting with an A2 sized white card panel. I am using Aspen and Sage for this first background. I tend to really stick with blues when I'm doing snowflakes, but I wanted to kind of step outside my own comfort zone, so I decided to bring in some greens, and I do have to say I'm in love with this card. But then of course, let's bring in some little teal blues, which is what I'm going to do here. This is Simon Says Stamps Surf and Sea Foam. All 4 of these inks are from their Positively Saturated Inks ink collection. And I'm using Waffle Flower's Stencil Mat and Waffle Flower's Inkpad holder, rectangular Inkpad holder. They also sent me that. So thank you to Waffle Flower for the fun gifts that I get to play with. So I'm keeping it with the ombre because I want it light at the bottom. And I'm going to be using the opaque distressed Crackle paste, texture paste, that's what I meant to say. And so you want to put this on thinner. Don't go crazy and put it on super thick because it'll take forever to dry. So you want a good coverage, but a thinner coverage. And as it dries, it's going to crackle, which I think is so gorgeous with the snowflakes. Another reason why I like the ombre with this is because I love the white from the texture paste going over the white cardstock at the bottom. So you just get this really awesome effect where the snowflakes are really bright at the top where the background is ink blended. And then you have it getting lighter, and then it's tone on tone at the bottom. So I stopped here and I went and washed everything. So wash everything immediately so it doesn't get, nice and dry and hard on you. But I'm going to put those aside to dry, and we're going to do some foil. I'm using Aura foil and red foil. This is the foil cutting trimmer tool from Spellbinders. It makes trimming your foil super, super easy. As you can see, I just put my little grid in place and took that little knife and slid it right through on the self-healing mat, which totally worked. So again, Aura foil, which is my favorite, and then red foil because we're going to bring a pop of color to that turquoise background. So I thought I would try to use the Sentiment Merry Christmas die that's from the Oversized Merry Christmas word die. So there's the die and the shadow. So when I'm doing the foiling, I thought I would try to use the die to cut out the foiled sentiment because it really is exactly the same size. So I will say that it kind of worked. And then for the other sentiment, I actually used the shadow die for that. So yeah, both of them worked out good, but I'll explain to you why the other one kind of worked. So my Glimmer hot foil system or machine was heating up. I ran it through my die cut machine nice and slow, forward and back, and then you get this beautiful foiled sentiment. Now I'm going to do the red sentiment here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to make sure this gets nice and hot. You're going to push the button on your machine. When it's done blinking, then you can pull it out of the docking station, put your shims on it and your plates, and run it through your die cut machine. And isn't that gorgeous red? I love it. It's so, so pretty. So I placed that die over the red foiled sentiment. I'd already had it lined up. I was kind of seeing if I could line it up, and I thought I lined it up good, and I ran that through the die cut machine. And then here is the shadow piece from the Oversized Merry Christmas word die that we're going to die cut the aura foil from. So for the red sentiment, it kind of was offset just a little bit, which is why it kind of worked, but I actually liked how it turned out. So I'll show you that here in a minute. I did die cut that beautiful large snowflake from the Star Snowflake exclusive collection. And I did that 3 times. We're going to ink blend one of these with Aspen in the center, and I'm leaving the tips kind of light. And then the other one is going to be the Sage, because that's a little bit darker. And again, leaving the tips kind of a really light color. So basically leaving them white. They have a little bit of color to them, but leaving it white. Then for the third one, I will use, I believe it was the Sea Foam. We'll see here in just a second. Nope, it's the Surf. That's the darker one. And I'm going to do the same thing of ink blending, keeping it dark in the center and light all the way out to the edge. So 2 of them are going to be green for the green card, and then we have one of these turquoise for the turquoise card. Okay, so the die cut sentiment, I die cut it 2 more times from white cardstock. We're going to adhere the red foiled one to this. Like I was saying earlier, the die cut shifted a little bit. So there's like a white shadow, what looks like a white shadow on like the left side of the Merry Christmas. I actually don't mind it. So I did keep it, even though it didn't die cut it perfectly. The way it just happened to line up looked really, really good. So I decided to keep that, but obviously if that's not something that you like, I would say, you know, don't try to die cut with that thing because it's really hard to get it lined up. Just use the shadow die to die cut it out. But as you can see here, there's just a little bit of a white shadow, but I actually think it highlights it really nicely. So that's why I kept that. Okay, let's stamp our sentiments from that cute little stamp set that came in that the Star Snowflake collection. One of them is going to say, let it snow, and then the other one says, all is calm, all is bright. I'm just stamping this on white cardstock, and I'm actually going to use some black ink because I feel like that black's going to kind of break up the background. But if you didn't want to do something like that, I think like some gold embossing would be really, really pretty as well. So I'm inking that up with my black ink. In my Misty, I do ink it up a couple times to get a good crisp image, and I'm going to trim those out with my paper trimmer. Now let's get these cards adhered. I do trim down my card panels slightly smaller than an A2 size card, and my original plan was to create 2 A2 size cards, but when I did the green one, I really did not want to cut off so many of the snowflakes, so I actually ended up creating a 5x7. So I adhered down that Merry Christmas. I'm going to add some foam tape behind the other sentiment. And as you can see there, that Merry Christmas does have a little bit of that white on the left side. But like I said, I actually really like it, so it didn't bother me, and I kept it. I'm going to put that aside. I am using liquid glue because there is that textured crackle paste behind it, and you really want everything to adhere. So I would use liquid glue. These 2 green ones, I'm using the lighter inked snowflake at the bottom and the darker one at the top. And when I had put the sentiment in the center of this, I was like, I just don't want to cut off all of this snowflake that's hanging off the edge, but you kind of needed a lot to hang off, so because the sentiment is so large. So this has foam tape behind it as well, and I'm going to center that. Then I have the Let It Snow sentiment that we already inked up and trimmed out, and I'm actually going to place that right in the center of the Merry Christmas sentiment and pop that up with some foam tape as well. Because it's so small, it's not actually going to distract you from the Merry Christmas. So I've adhered these to the backgrounds, the card bases, the 5x7 and the A2 size. And I am going to trim just a little bit off that 5x7, but as you can see, we get to keep a lot more of that snowflake. I'm going to trim this one down as well. And then I want to bring in some gold confetti sequins because you guys know this is my absolute favorite. This is from Studio Katia. I'm going to add some larger sequins to the centers of the 3 big snowflakes. And then I'm going to add a few more smaller sequence in and around all of the snowflakes. So the same for this one, just placing them around. I like to place them ahead of time and then I can glue them down because I tend to change things a lot. Well, I hope that you like these cards and I hope that you feel inspired. Thank you so very much for stopping by and watching another video from my Handmade Christmas series. And have a wonderful day. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.